Okay, so starting out, I like to set my project up so that my workflow can be easy and not have any distractions. At this point, I'll set my BPM to a desired point and add at least 4 tracks with basic instruments like a piano, a bass, a kick, and some percussion. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is I like to take the piano and form some sort of idea of what the song's going to be about and what it's going to sound like. At this stage, it's okay to come up with an idea that is not set in stone because I typically end up changing this idea many times before I finish the song. Next step I like to do is I like to write a nice bass line. For the bass line, I'll usually take the bass notes of the piano, copy them, and paste them into a new Midi of sound that sounds more like a bass. Typically, this will be some sort of sub bass. But for this part of the song, I'm just going to use a sound with a little bit more high end and a little less sub bass. Keep in mind, I think it's important to start with a bass line and build up from it because it's like the foundation of your song, especially in EDM, which is my favorite genre of music. I like to think of this stage in the process as kind of like building a house. You would start with the foundation or base of the house and build it up. Next up are the drums. I love putting drums in really early in the song because then you can get the rhythm set and then you can just build up from there. This is so important because everything else in the song will eventually be shaped around the percussion. That's why it's pretty crucial that I get my drums sounding perfect before I move on to the next step of the song making process. And although it's crucial, sometimes I'll go with a simple drum loop so I can make other areas of the song stand out. Okay, so now it's time to start shaping the leads around the base of the song. For this song in particular, I ended up wiping out the piano completely and replacing all of those exact notes with the synthesizer. At this point in the song, we could take what we've already written and attempt to come up with the best possible leads that harmonize the bass line as best as they could. For this step, I ended up keeping what we already started with in the beginning, so I really didn't need to go through and make a couple more melodies, but a lot of the times I might end up making 3, 4, or even 5 different lead melodies so that I could compare them and decide on the best sounding one. If I'm using a vocalist in a song, I will use the main idea of this step and have my vocalist sing multiple takes until we come up with the best possible harmony to the bass line. This is so important because every harmony you make might sound good, but not everyone is the best. A lot of times I find myself asking for advice on this step of the song. Say if someone's in the room, my mom, dad, or girlfriend, I'll turn around and I'll say, hey, what sounds better? This one or this one? This melody or this melody? And I will compare the two melodies, and whatever one they say, I'll reconsider considering that one. Okay, now that I have a good idea of what the song is going to sound like, I'll start to brainstorm for a storyboard of my song, or in other words, a structure. After all, I think the songwriting process should be much like telling a story, even if you're doing it with just instruments. This is where I like to consider the emotions of my listeners and attempt to come up with the best possible structure so that my listeners can emotionally connect with my song. My song at this point will begin to take its shape. This is probably the longest step in the song making process because it mainly consists of me making all the different sections of the song, and it is not unlikely that these sections will end up using completely different instruments than previously made sections. After I have my song completely laid out, I will start the fine-tuning stage of my song. This stage in the process is also time-consuming and consists mostly of the cleaning up of transitions and breaks. In this stage, I'll also be tweaking the atmospheres and a lot of the reverbs that I kind of rushed in the beginning when I was getting my structure laid out. Any mixing flaws that I encounter at this point will be tweaked and finalized before mastering also. Finally, I'll go to my mastering stage. For this stage, I will apply a quick, dirty master so that I can listen to my song all throughout the week on different sound systems like my car stereo, laptop speaker, headphones, and pretty much anything else I could get my hands on. I do this for about 3 to 4 days when I figure out what doesn't sound good and what can be made better with simple tuning and tweaking. Sometimes a stage will even lead to me restructuring a song because I ended up not liking the original structure that I came up with. When I get a good feel for how I want the song to sound, I will fine tune any last things that need fine tuning before finalization. Then I'll apply a good clean master to the track. And that's how I make a song.